विदेशीको निर्देशनमा त्यतिखेर चाहिँ मलाई 8000 मिटरबाट उसले मलाई पठाउनै पठाएन कि नेपाली दिदीबहिनीहरूले चाहिँ के सगरमाथा हाम्रो होइन र हामीले चढ्न सक्दैन र हाम्रै देशको हिमाल हुँदा पनि हामी नेपाली दिदीबहिनीहरूले चढ्न नपाउनु मलाई एकदम दुःख लागेको छ।
Tenzing Norgay Sherpa and Sir Ahmed Hillary made the history by being the first people to climb Everest on May 29, 1953 AD. They inspired and paved the way for thousands of climbers. Although many Nepalis and foreigners have reached Everest, no Nepali woman has able to climb the summit for a long time. In 1975 AD, June Kotabai, a Japanese woman, became the first woman to climb Mount Everest. On April 22, 1993 AD, 31-year-old Pasang Lhamu Sherpa became the first Nepali woman to summit Everest. Reports of Pasang Lhamu's notable summit success circulated the country's mainstream media, but it was rather short-lived. The days that followed then focused on the disappearance of first Nepali woman who until a few days has stood on atop Everest. 18 days later, on May 10, her body was found. She lost her life on the descent at the south summit due to unfavorable weather conditions in high altitude. Pasang Lhamu Sherpa, the first Nepalese woman to climb the world's highest peak and the 16th woman in the world, was born in Surkhe village of Solukhumbu district on 28 Mangsir 1961 BS or 10 December 1961 AD. She was born as only the daughter of father Furbatikar Sherpa and mother Andaki Sherpa. She has also two older brothers and two younger brothers. She was born in a mountaineering family and was involved in climbing from her childhood. Her father, Furbatikar Sherpa, was associated with mountaineering activities, so Pasang developed an interest in mountaineering from an early age. Her brothers went to school, but Pasang never received a formal education. At the age of 17, she left her native village and escaped to Kathmandu with her chosen love, Lakpa Sonam Sherpa, so that she would not have to marry another man through an arranged marriage. With Lakpa Sonam, she founded her own agency, Thamsurkut Turking. The couple has two daughters and a son, Davafuti Diki and Namkhel Sherpa respectively. Later, when she became an owner of trekking company, her love for mountains grew. In this process, she had even climbed mountains at home and abroad like Mount Cho Oyu, Yala Peak, Pisang, and Mount Blanc. In 1989 AD, Pasang successfully made her first climb at Mount Pisang, 6,091 meters. After that, she climbed the famous Mount Blanc, 4,848 meters, which made her the first Nepali woman mountaineer to climb it. In the same year, she set off to climb Mount Everest, 8,848 meters, but she could only reach 8,000 meters. In 1991, she successfully climbed the Yala Peak, 5,800 meters. In the same year, she again attempted climbing Mount Everest twice, but only could reach 8,750 meters and 8,500 meters respectively. Through her agency, she met a French mountaineer, Marc Battard, who invited Pasang Lhamu on his autumn 1990 Everest expedition. At that time, Battard still had the speed record for no-oxygen ascent of Everest. In the fall of 1988 AD, he summited in 22 hours and 29 minutes. This time, Battard's goal was to climb Everest and Lhotse on the same day. Battard had a large team of 21 climbers, including several women. During the first summit push in late September, Battard realized that Pasang Lhamu climbed too slowly, so ascending beyond the South Pole would be too risky for her. Climbers from other teams also thought that the Pasang Lhamu was not strong enough to summit that day. As the leader of the expedition, Battard asked Pasang Lhamu to abort her attempt at 8,000 meters. Pasang Lhamu stormed off the mountain. Battard offered her a second summit, but she declined. Pasang Lhamu returned to Kathmandu, where her husband filed a formal complaint at the Ministry of Tourism, saying that a foreigner had not allowed a Nepali woman to climb a mountain. The scandal drew attention.
विदेशीको निर्देशनमा त्यतिखेर चाहिँ मलाई 8000 मिटरबाट उसले मलाई पठाए।
In the fall of 1991-80, 12 teams again showed up on Everest, including the one organized by Pasang Lhamu and her husband. It included 16 climbers, most of them Nepalese, plus 4 French, 1 Belgian. The leader of the expedition was Pasang Lhamu, although her husband and another Sherpa performed most of the leadership duties. Some climbers from other teams said that at the base camp, Pasang Lhamu's husband told them that his wife should have priority among all climbers going to the top. This also raised a controversy between her and foreign climbers. On September 30, 1991-80, during her first summit push, Pasang Lhamu and several members of her team reached 8,748 meters. Then the wind grew stronger and they were unable to climb further. The Europeans started their summit push on October 4, 1991. Among them was the Chantal Mauti. They could not summit because of strong winds. Madrid and Belgian Karl considered making push, but this could have violated Pasang's husband's order that foreign climbers could not proceed ahead of his wife. In the end, however, strong winds prevented Pasang Lhamu from climbing further. On her next summit push, she could not get beyond the last camp at 7,900 meters. Some climbers, including a Nepali guide, recall that Pasang Lhamu used to walk 5 minutes and rest for the 15 minutes. They also said that Pasang Lhamu was not good at using crampons while descending. She usually had to go down sideways. However, Pasang Lhamu did not give up. By now, other Nepali women had the idea to summit Everest as well as several Indian female climbers. Pasang Lhamu's determination evolved into obsession after her 3 attempts. Perhaps in part, it was because the media focused on her and Nepal needed a national heroine. I am determined to climb Sagarmatha on behalf of Nepali women without caring for my life, Pasang Lhamu said. I am determined to concentrate more on the promotion of national identity on behalf of Nepali women who are no less courageous than men. In 1993-80, the Indians urged Nepal to give a climbing permit to Indian women to commemorate Tenzing Norgay and the first ascent of Everest. In return, the Indians would include 2 Nepali climbers on the team. According to the Elizabeth Hawley's 1994 report, Pasang Lhamu, who had already had 3 Everest attempts, felt entitled to co-leadership. However, the Indians declined to accept her onto the team on those terms. According to another version, Pasang Lhamu wanted to join Indian team, but Nepal's Ministry of Tourism selected 2 other Nepali women, Nimi Sherpa, who previously climbed Makalu, and Nupse and Pasna Malla, a trekking and mountaineering guide. According to this report, Pasang Lhamu had been sidelined. According to Indian climber Rita Gombu, a member of that Indian team, Pasang Lhamu was not selected because she had a rivalry with Nimi Sherpa, who also intended to become the first Nepali woman to summit Everest. Pasang Lhamu and her husband Lakpa Sonam Sherpa quickly organized an independent team, the Nepali Women's Everest Expedition, under the leadership of Pasang Lhamu. It arrived in the base camp on March 30, 1993-80. They also had sponsors, San Mingle Beer, that paid half their fees. In the team of 10 climbers, there were 2 other women, Lakwafuti Sherpa and Nanda Rai, plus 7 Nepali men. Finally, on April 21, 1993-80, Pasang Lhamu and some of her teammates reached camp for 7,900 meters. Lakwafuti and Nanda Rai were unable to attempt the summit. One of the team members, Sonam Tersing Sherpa, who had previously climbed Everest 4 times, had suggested before the summit push that they should set up an extra camp at 8,500 meters, but his idea was ignored. They did not want to waste time. That night the weather was still fine, and Pasang Lhamu, along with the 5 Nepali men, began the final push at midnight. They were determined to get to the top before the Indian women. The climbers didn't want to communicate with anyone or let others hear what they were talking about, so they left their walkie-talkie behind. They did not carry sleeping bags or bivouac equipment because each man was already carrying 26 lots of oxygen bottles for themselves and for Pasang Lhamu. Pasang Lhamu carried only 1 bottle for herself. There was no other team on South Pole. In an emergency, they couldn't count on anyone's help. Pasang Lhamu and Sonam Tershing were very slow during the ascent. Sonam Tershing was not feeling well. Finally, Pasang Lhamu and 5 of her companions submitted Everest on April 22, 1993 AD at 2:30 p.m. The weather changed radically after the group submitted. The group of exhausted climbers divided into two. The first group continued descending. Pasang Lhamu and Sonam Tershing stayed in the dead zone on the south summit, and the third companion, Pemba Nehru, remained with the pair. They had to make an impromptu bivouac, and they ran out of oxygen. Next morning, the situation was very ugly. Sonam Tershing's condition worsened. Pasang Lhamu was also very ill and could not stand. Pasang Lhamu sent Pemba Nehru down to the South Pole so that the first group that had already reached that point could bring oxygen up to them. But their companions at the South Pole were also exhausted that they could not ascend back up again at that time. On April 24, 1993 AD, few Sherpas tried to climb to bring Pasang Lhamu and Sonam Tershing, but the wind was so strong that all Sherpas had to turn back. Climbers from different groups were only able to reach them 18 days later. They found the dead body of Pasang Lhamu. Sonam Tershing has probably fallen. According to some climbers, the problem was that Pasang Lhamu did not know how to descend the mountain well. She was also later criticized for putting her own success before the safety of her teammates and for even competing with the other two women on her own team. Finally, with the help of foreign climbers, they managed to lower Pasang Lhamu's dead body from 8,750 meters. This was the highest rescue in history, which was much commented upon later because it morally forced future teams to attempt to lower the bodies of deceased climbers from such a great height. Previously, the custom had been to leave them where they lay. Pasang Lhamu climbed from the south of Mount Everest and made a new history. While returning with her husband Sonam Tershing, she was buried in the snow before reaching the camp. She died on 10th Baisakh 2050 Bikram Samban at the age of 32. Her body was brought to Kathmandu by helicopter. Cremation was done only on 7th Jaish 2050 Bikram Samban. The government of Nepal has declared Pasang Lhamu Sherpa a national hero. The government has named the 7,315 meters high Jasamba mountain as the Pasang Lhamu mountain. The 117-kilometer long highway from Trishuli to Thunje has been named as the Pasang Lhamu highway. The postal camps have been published in her name. An assembly hall has also been built in her name in Chapa. She was a fighter and a true believer in women's strength. Her actions do not just reflect her life, but they help society to eliminate gender-based discrimination and promote women's empowerment.